What would you do if the people you loved most betrayed you, drained your life away, and left you to fight alone? Kayla Winslow thought cutting ties would set her free, but someone's been watching, waiting, and the real game hasn't even begun. Are you ready to uncover the shocking truth? The dinner table was supposed to be a place of warmth and connection, but that night, it became a battlefield. Kayla Winslow sat across from her family, the scent of roasted chicken and garlic bread filling the air, the same aroma that had once meant comfort, now tainted with tension. Her father, Robert Winslow, slammed his fist against the polished oak, silverware rattling violently. His voice cut through the room like a lightning strike. You're selfish, Kayla. Your sister is better than you in every way imaginable. The room froze. Forks hovered midair, wine glasses trembled, and hesitant glances flickered between relatives. Her mother, Margaret, gasped softly, her eyes flicking between them as though willing Robert's words to vanish. Her younger sister, Lila, leaned back with a smug, knowing smirk, eyes glinting with satisfaction. Clearly, she had anticipated this moment, maybe even orchestrated it. Kayla didn't flinch. She didn't cry, didn't argue. Instead, a sharp, cutting laugh escaped her lips. Perfect, she said, her voice cold and controlled. Then she can pay her own rent from now on. Silence settled over the room like a suffocating fog. Robert's face reddened, veins standing out on his temples. He shoved his chair back, the screech of wood against tile echoing like a gunshot, and pointed at her as if she were an intruder rather than his daughter. Get out, he roared. It was supposed to be Margaret's birthday dinner. Instead, it had become the night Kayla decided she would no longer bow to their cruelty. Earlier that evening, Kayla had arrived at the Winslow household bracing for the usual tension, but she had promised herself she would endure it for her mother's sake. Margaret deserved a peaceful evening, a rare moment where attention and joy were hers alone. For a fleeting heartbeat, Kayla even allowed herself hope. The table had been set with careful precision, glimmering plates, flickering candlelight, the gentle hum of conversations all around. Margaret radiated a quiet happiness, soaking in the rare attention she usually missed amid family chaos. Cousins laughed quietly, aunts whispered, and glasses clinked in small toasts. Kayla inhaled, clinging to the fragile illusion that tonight could be ordinary, normal even. But with Robert Winslow, peace was always temporary. As the first course was served, Robert steered the conversation mercilessly toward Lila, his pride swelling with every word. She's thriving at college, he boasted, fork raised like a scepter. Straight A's, juggling work, volunteering, perfect in every way. Kayla forced a smile and chewed slowly, each bite heavy, sinking like stones in her stomach. Lila bowed her head, feigning modesty, but the sparkle in her eyes betrayed her satisfaction. Margaret cast Kayla an apologetic glance, but it did little to ease the sting. Kayla tried to drown the words in wine, but they gnawed at her. It wasn't Lila she resented. It was how invisible she had become in every moment that mattered. Every birthday, every dinner, every achievement had become Lila's stage, leaving Kayla relegated to the shadows. Even tonight, Margaret's special evening, she had endured quietly, until Robert's gaze landed sharply on her. Kayla, he said, his voice tight with expectation. Are you supporting your sister enough? Her fork froze midair. Supporting her sister? Kayla had been paying Lila's rent, covering groceries, cell phone bills, sending extra money when Lila overspent, all quietly, without complaint. Before she could respond, Robert turned toward Lila like a prosecutor baiting a witness. Is she helping you? He pressed. Lila tilted her head, pausing long enough to draw everyone's attention. Then she smiled, saccharine and calculated. She does, Lila admitted, but then, with perfect timing, added, but there's something I need to ask. Kayla's stomach twisted. She already knew what was coming. Robert leaned forward, eager, as if Lila were about to request a crown. Go on, Lila, he urged. Lila's gaze locked on Kayla, her voice dripping with false innocence. I need a car, she said. It would make school and work so much easier. The room went still. Forks clinked softly against plates as all eyes turned toward Kayla. A car. Kayla echoed, setting her fork down with deliberate calm. Lila nodded enthusiastically. Something reliable, just to keep up with everything. Kayla turned to her father, disbelief etched across her face. If she needs a car, why don't you buy it? She asked. The air thickened instantly. Robert's jaw clenched, eyes narrowing like daggers. You mean to tell me you can't do this for your sister? He snapped. Kayla's pulse raced, but she kept her voice steady. I already pay her rent, groceries, bills. If she wants a car, that's her responsibility. Then Robert erupted. Lila has potential. She's going places and she needs support. I've poured half my income into her future because she deserves it. And you? You can't even do this one thing? Silence swallowed the room. Kayla's cousins avoided her gaze. Her aunts shifted uncomfortably. Lila's lips curled in the slightest, Victoria's smirk tugging at her expression. And you, Robert finally spat, venom in every word. She's better than you, Kayla. Always has been, always will be. Kayla laughed. Cold. Sharp. Foreign even to her own ears. Perfect, she said, locking eyes with Robert. Then she can pay her own rent. Robert's face turned crimson as he shoved back his chair. The screech of wood against tile sounded like a scream. Get out, he bellowed. If you're so selfish, you don't belong here. Margaret's hand flew to her mouth, eyes wide with unshed tears. The cousins whispered. The aunts looked away. Lila kept her head down, silent but triumphant. Kayla rose slowly, her calm deliberateness. Happy birthday, Mom, she said softly, offering Margaret the only gift she could that night, freedom from her own torment. Then she walked upstairs to her old bedroom, frozen in time since she had moved out years ago. Leaning against the door, she listened to the muffled chaos below. Margaret's soft pleas, Robert's furious roars, and Lila's silent satisfaction blended into a storm she had long endured. But this time was different. Kayla opened her banking app. The joint account Robert had pushed her into years ago, her lifeline for Lila, revealed the truth. Every transfer, every withdrawal, each line a betrayal. Robert had been siphoning her money, hiding it under the guise of family support. Controlled, icy anger surged. Kayla transferred the remaining funds to her personal account, closed the joint account, and exhaled. Lila's next rent? Not her problem anymore. By sunrise, chaos hit the household. Calls from Lila came in a flurry, panicked and desperate. Kayla's response was calm, deliberate. Ask Dad. He's got you. Later, Robert called. His clipped, seething voice demanded answers. Kayla's reply was simple. It's my money. You and Lila drained it long enough. You'll survive without me. The fallout escalated. Kayla's childhood car, the last symbol of her independence, had been marked for sale by Robert. She ripped it from his grasp and drove it straight to her apartment, engine roaring like liberation. She combed through years of records, evidence of theft, proof of manipulation. Finally, she had power. With a lawyer's guidance, Kayla confronted her father. The result, all stolen funds returned. No apologies. No excuses. For the first time, Kayla tasted true freedom. She moved out of state, sold her apartment, and took a new job. Months later, Lila's desperation returned, but Kayla didn't respond. This time, she remained untethered. Kayla Winslow was no longer the invisible daughter, the wallet, the prey. She was free, unbroken, and finally whole. But as she sat in her quiet apartment, the echo of family betrayal still lingering, a shiver ran down her spine. Freedom felt sweet, but Kayla knew the storm was far from over. The game had changed, but the players remained. Kayla Winslow sat on the balcony of her new apartment, the city lights glittering like scattered stars beneath her. Months had passed since she cut ties with the Winslows, and yet the memories of that night, the thunderous argument, the smirks, the betrayal, still lingered, like smoke in a room she couldn't escape. Her life had changed drastically. The new job in marketing gave her autonomy, independence, and a sense of purpose she had never felt while living under Robert Winslow's oppressive shadow. No one dictated her schedule, her finances, or her worth anymore. But freedom came with its own challenges. Lila, now stranded and desperate, was a constant reminder that the past had teeth, and it was willing to bite. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Kayla, we need to talk."
Ethan.
Kayla froze.
Ethan.
She had met him months ago at a networking event, a charming, intelligent man who had been persistent in getting to know her, though she had kept everyone at arm's length until now. She hadn't expected him to reach out, not after the chaos of her life had started. "What now?" she muttered under her breath. Curiosity overrode hesitation. She agreed to meet him at a quiet cafe downtown. When she arrived, he was already there, a book in hand and a soft, knowing smile playing on his lips. "Kayla," he greeted, his voice calm but warm. "You look different. Stronger." She sat across from him, arms crossed, wary. "Life has a way of forcing that," she said. He nodded, studying her. "I heard about what happened with your family. I wanted to see if you're okay." Kayla's chest tightened. I survived. That's what matters." Ethan's eyes lingered, thoughtful. "You deserve more than surviving, Kayla. You deserve to thrive." For the first time in months, Kayla felt a flicker of something else, something light, tender, and promising. Perhaps life still had sweetness to offer, even after the bitterness of betrayal. But reality refused to stay quiet. Later that evening, an email from Lila appeared in her inbox, urgent and desperate. "Kayla, please. Dad's broke, I have nothing, and I don't know what to do. Help me." Kayla stared at the screen. Part of her ached, old habits dying slowly, but another part burned with anger. "This is not my burden anymore." She deleted the email, feeling the weight lift from her shoulders. She wasn't the family's lifeline. She was her own. Days later, Kayla received a call from an attorney representing her father. Robert Winslow had refused to acknowledge her independence, demanding she reconcile or face legal consequences over the property she had sold and funds she had reclaimed. Kayla exhaled slowly, her resolve hardening. "Let him try," she whispered. She had evidence, records, and witnesses. For once, the upper hand was hers. As the legal maneuvering unfolded, Kayla's life began to bloom in ways she hadn't imagined. She threw herself into her work, earning accolades for creativity and leadership. Her apartment, small but filled with sunlight and quiet, became her sanctuary. And then there was Ethan, a steady presence who didn't judge her, didn't demand her, but simply admired her strength. Their connection grew, subtle but profound, hinting at a future where trust was earned, not taken for granted. But just as Kayla began to feel the first hints of peace, a message arrived that shook her to the core. "Kayla, we need your help. Lila is in trouble. It's serious." Her pulse quickened. Memories of being drained, humiliated, and betrayed rose like a tide. Could she truly step back in? Could she trust that Lila's predicament wasn't another manipulation? Kayla closed her eyes, letting the weight of months of pain and liberation settle. She had survived the worst her family could throw at her. She had won against betrayal and theft. But now, the question wasn't about money, control, or dominance.
It was about choice.
And Kayla was done being pushed. She typed a single reply, "I will hear everything first. Then we decide." The next morning, she drove to the hospital where Lila had been admitted. The sight of her sister, pale, trembling, clearly in distress, stirred a complex mix of anger, guilt, and protective instinct. Kayla took a deep breath and entered the room, meeting Lila's eyes. "I'm listening," Kayla said, her voice calm but firm. Lila's story spilled out: financial ruin, betrayal by a partner, and a desperate need for support. Kayla listened, every fiber of her being alert, weighing each word. She could feel the familiar pull, the temptation to rescue. But she had learned. She had survived manipulation before. "You've made mistakes," Kayla said finally, "but you have to own them. I'm not your safety net anymore. You need to fight for yourself. Tears welled in Lila's eyes, but she nodded. I understand.
I
don't know what I'd do without you. Kayla stepped closer, placing a gentle hand on her sister's shoulder. You'll figure it out. And when you do, maybe you'll understand why I had to step away. Walking out of the hospital, Kayla felt the calm she had been chasing. The storm of her past had not disappeared, but she had weathered it, emerging stronger, untethered, and ready for a future built on her terms. And in the quiet hum of her apartment that evening, as she sipped wine beside Ethan, she allowed herself to dream again. A dream of love that didn't demand her surrender, of a career that celebrated her worth, and of a life where she was the author of her own story. But just as the warmth of hope settled around her, her phone buzzed. A new email. From an unknown sender. Kayla Winslow, you've done well. But this isn't over. Watch your back. Kayla froze, her heart skipping a beat. The shadow of the past, she realized, had not fully released its grip. Someone had been watching. Someone had been waiting. And the game she thought she had ended was far from over. Yet, for the first time, she smiled. She was ready.